For the last few years, American tech labs have held a tight grip on the top spots of every major AI coding leaderboard. But a brand new model from China is shattering the assumption that US dominance is a permanent fixture. On July 16, 2026, the Beijing-based startup Moonshot AI released their newest flagship model, Kimi K3. The architectural specs on this release are massive. It runs on 2.8 trillion parameters and boasts a 1 million token context window, meaning it can hold and process hundreds of thousands of lines of code in a single prompt. Building at this scale requires immense computing power. It proves Chinese labs are moving past modifying open-source frameworks and are actively deploying frontier-level infrastructure that rivals the biggest players in Silicon Valley. To understand the threat to US labs, look at Arena.ai's Frontend Code Leaderboard. Unlike automated benchmarks that models can easily memorize, this leaderboard relies entirely on blind human voting, where real developers test two anonymous models and vote on the better output. When Kimi K3 hit this testing ground, it shot directly from position number 18 to grab the #1 overall spot, physically pushing Anthropic's reigning champion, Claude Fable 5, down the board. The timing here is brutal for Anthropic. This upset happened just as they prepared to pull Fable 5 from standard subscriptions, locking it behind an expensive pay-as-you-go credit system. When you put these outputs in front of developers without the brand names attached, they actively choose the Chinese model over the Western one. That signals a serious shift in practical utility and user trust. This radar chart breaks down exactly how the flip happened. Kimi K3 took the crown with a 1679 ELO score, beating Fable 5 across almost every front-end domain. Of the 7 tested categories, K3 explicitly won 6, including simulations and content creation. It only stumbled in a single category, conceding second place to Claude Fable 5 for gaming environments. Dominating 6 out of 7 technical categories suggests K3 is the more effective choice for front-end engineering compared to generalist US models. But before declaring total victory, we have to look at the whole picture. K3 is a highly specialized tool, not a complete, all-knowing artificial intelligence. When you pull K3 away from coding and put it on the general text arena, its performance drops off. It scores a relatively underwhelming 1486, proving it struggles outside of its core engineering expertise. We see the same trend on this intelligence index bar chart. Kimi K3 lands at 57, behind Claude Fable 5 at 60, and GPT 5.6 Sol at 59. Transitioning the data to the GDP Val-AA benchmark confirms the hierarchy. K3 places a solid third at 1,687, remaining firmly in the shadow of Anthropic and OpenAI. While K3 is an apex predator inside a code editor, Western models retain absolute dominance for deep, general reasoning and broad logical capabilities. Moonshot is shifting the competitive landscape through aggressive economics. If you hit K3's API, the standard cost sits at $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. But if you look at this pricing line graph, the cost for cached inputs, the repeated instructions used in complex agent workflows, plummets, dropping all the way down to a baseline of 30 cents per million tokens. Combine that with Moonshot releasing K3 as an open weight model. Open weight means the actual parameters and architecture are available to download, allowing independent developers to fully host this massive 2.8 trillion parameter system entirely off of United States closed server platforms. This twin strategy of deeply slashed API pricing and open source availability directly attacks the highly expensive, closed ecosystem business models that Anthropic and OpenAI rely on. For everyday developers, the strategy is clear. Offload your heavy front-end engineering tasks to K3 to save money, and reserve your expensive Anthropic and OpenAI credits for deep general reasoning tasks. Geopolitically, this shows exactly how Chinese labs are navigating around strict US hardware embargoes. Denied the absolute latest hardware chips, they rely on intense software optimization to extract maximum efficiency from their limited resources. This video is for informational and educational purposes. NextGen AI Tech has no sponsorship or affiliate relationship with Moonshot AI, Anthropic, or companies mentioned. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on industry deep dives and model reviews, hit that subscribe button. The global AI race has entered a phase focused on deployment and efficiency. Future winners will be defined by their ability to deliver frontier-level intelligence at a scale and price the masses can actually afford.